Yesterday, Parashat Miketz, I was praying in the Porta Vida synagogue and here in Aventura, and I saw an acquaintance from New York, and I saw him fumbling through a bunch of the pages in the Chumash. So I asked him, "What are you looking for?" He said, "I had a question. I always wanted to know how long was Shimon in jail with Yosef, because we know that Yosef put him in prison and then the brothers left. So what was the time that he was actually away from the brothers?" I looked quickly at a couple of Mifrashim, I didn't see it, but I said, it's a good question. I'd like to find out more. So let's take a look. I'm going to show you an unbelievable hidush, because I'm actually going to answer you an even better question. Why did Yaakov Avinu not do anything about it? Let's take a look. Bereshit mem bet kaf daled. It says, Vayeshev alehem, vaydaber alehem, vayikach meitam et Shimon, vayesor oto lehem. That Yosef, when he sees all the brothers, he sees the situation, he takes Shimon and he puts him away in prison. Rashi tells us, why Shimon? Because hu hishlicho labor. It was Shimon who threw Yosef into the board. Now Yosef was not doing any nikama. He was not getting Shimon back. But he understood that this was all a tikkun. He understood what was going on here and the process, and he was following through with it. On Bereshit Rabbah, Pei Daled Tet Zayin, it says, Hu sha'amar leLevi, hine ba'al halamot halazeh ba. Davar acher nitkaven Yosef la'afrido miLevi, shema ya'atzu shenehem laharug oto. So, furthermore, the Midrash tells us a few things. First, in the Pesukim, it was Shimon who made the comment, Hine ba'al ha'chalamot halazeh ba, that he got everyone stirred up. So besides throwing Yosef into the pit, he was the one who got them all stirred up. And Yosef was worried because he knew if Shimon and Levi would tag together and they wanted to, they could destroy Mitzrayim just like they did in Shechem. In the Sefer HaYashar, which brings a bunch of midrashim from the Tanakh, it tells us that Shimon was in prison, or under Yosef's jurisdiction, because we're going to find out exactly what kind of prison it was, for 14 months. He was away from his family. So it says in the pasuk in Lamed Zayin Yutet, Vayemru ish el achiv hine ba'al hachalamot halazeh ba. The pasuk uses ish el achiv. Take a look at Mem Bet Kav Aleph. Vayemru ish el achiv. אבל אשמים אנחנו לאחינו אשר ראינו צרת נפשו והתחננו אלינו ולא שמענו על כן באה אלינו הצרה הזאת. The ish el achiv comes up again later on. And if you look further, ויאמר אל אחיו הושב כספי, later on it says וגם הנה בעם תחתי ויצא לבם יחדו איש אל אחיו לאמור מה זאת עשה אלוהים לנו. The ish el achiv comes again, mentioning the connection from the original Ish el achiv on hine ba'al hachalamot halazeh to the next time when the brothers are in that situation where they feel that this is happening because of what they did to their brother, midah keneged midah, and again they get scared because they notice that the money came back and they know they sold their brother for money, and suddenly they see the midah keneged midah and they start to get scared. Rabbeinu Bachya says, Mazot asa Elohim lanu midat hadin kelomar asa Elohim lanu kemidatenu. That the brothers were starting to realize life is cyclical and you have to be careful. The Birkat Asher al HaTorah in Bereshit Mem Bet Kaf Dalet says, Rashi al Dibur HaMatchil et Shimon Hu hishlicho labor, he threw him into the pit, and Hu shesha'amar leLevi hine ba'al hachalamot halazeh ba. עד כאן, ודומה שזה על פי הכלל תולין קלקול במקולקל, ולפי ביאורו של רבי דוב רפל, כדי לצמצם את מספרם של העושה רע. על הפסוק ויקחוהו וישליכו אותו הבורה. דרשו חז"ל שרק אחד נטלו וישליכו, שהרי כתוב ויקחוהו חסר וו. So the Birkat Asher was trying to clarify, how did Rashi know that it was only one of the brothers and not all of them? Because it says vayikachuhu and vayishlichu oto. So on vayikachuhu it's missing the vav. Because it's missing the vav, Rashi I guess understood it being that it was an individual, not Rabbim, it was a Yahid on it. On the Haktav v'Hakabbalah on Bereshit Mem Bet Kaf Dalet, his Vayesor Oto le'enehim, that he imprisoned Shimon in front of the eyes. V'achakach hechilu v'hishkuhu. It says afterwards after he imprisoned him in front of them, he fed him and he gave him to drink. It was only for Shimon to have a kaparat avonot. כי כמו שאסרו אותו ומכרוהו לעיני כולם ככה עושה להם. וכן השבת הכסף באמתחתם בית פעמים ייתכן שעשה כן שלא יחשדוהו להבוא שכל הצער שציער אותם היה דרך נקמה בשנאה, ובאמת לא הייתה כוונתו רק שיתכפר עוונם. And this is coming down from the Haktav Kabbalah that really Yosef was not trying to get revenge on them in any way, because he could have done much, much more, but he did the minute just for the Kaparat Abonot. Interestingly enough, if you look at Shimon, Shimon is the second son from Leah, and the second child born to Yaakov. But interestingly enough, when Leah gives birth, she says, Ki shama Adonai ki sinua anochi. That she has a sinua of a sort. It could have been the feelings of Yaakov with Rachel, and that could have had an effect on it. But what's interesting is that sinua, Shimon doesn't really question Reuven's position in the family. Reuven is the Bechor, but Yosef is also the Bechor from Rachel, and that could have been something that came up in Shimon's mind. And Shimon, later on, when he goes with Levi to destroy Shechem, the city of Shechem, and Shechem ben Hamor, when he goes into that city, and they end up destroying the whole city, what happens is Dinah does not want to come back home. She's embarrassed, she was defiled, and Shimon promises her that he's going to marry her and take her as a wife. Interestingly enough, many of the Shevatim married their own sisters, their own twin sisters that were born together with them. Some of them married from the outside, like Yehuda, but many of them married the twins. And interestingly enough, when Dinah ends up giving birth, she ends up giving birth to a daughter, and the daughter's name is Asenat. Also has the word like Sin'ah in it. It's with the Samech, but for the sake of the Derash, there's also Sin'ah there. So you have Ki Shama Adonai Ki Sinu'ah Anochi, and you have Asenat also from Sinu'ah. We're going to find out also that it means Seneh. We'll see now that. Birkat Asher on the Torah tells us, Vere'eh Ur'er Yonatan ben Uziel, Vayihav le Yat Asenat de Yelidat Dinah. He tells us that she was the daughter of Dinah, the Shechem. ורביתה איתת פוטיפרה רבה דתניס ומאיר שם בפירוש דאם לא כן האח רשע יוסף לקחתה לו לאישה. How did Yosef take her to be a wife? ובצחוני מבואר יותר, ויש אומרים על יד שגדלה בביתו נקראת ביתו, כמו שמצינו במשה רבנו בכתיב אלה בני ביתיה בת פרעה. That's brought down in דברי הימים א' ד' י"ח, that it calls on Moshe Rabbeinu that he is on Bitya, that she's the Bat Paro. Now, interestingly enough, not only is Moshe classified as being the daughter of Bitya, what's interesting is that Bitya also was adopted. The Midrash, I think it's the Yalkut Shimoni, brings down that Yitro, Bil'am, and Iyov were all the advisors to Paro. And one of the days, Yitro and Paro were walking in the souk, in the market, and they saw two girls, and each one of them took upon themselves to adopt them. One of them took Bitya, which was Paro, and Sipora ended up going to Yitro. That's for a different class, but it's a very interesting midrash comes down. And וביקשו להרוג בני יעקב אבינו. ובא יעקב אבינו ותלה לה קמיה בצווארה וגירשה מביתו. So Yaakov Avinu puts a kamiya on Asenat and he throws her out of the house, I guess. גירשה מביתו והחביאה עצמה בין הקוצים ובין הברקנים. And she hid herself between the thorns. ועל שם הסנה נקראת Asenat, from the word sene, like a bush. בא גבריאל והביאה למצרים לפני אשת פוטיפר וגדלתה, וכשעבר יוסף בכל ארץ מצרים יצאו כל הנשים לראות מחמת יופיו. All the ladies went to go see Yosef, כי נכתיב בנו צעדה שוב, וכל אחד זורקת לו חפץ או תכשיט, וזו לא היה מה לזרוק. Asena didn't have anything to throw, וזרקה לו הקמיה שבצווארה, she threw whatever קמיה she had, מסתכל בו יוסף שהייתה בת ביתו של יעקב ונשאה לו לאישה. And that's how he ended up going after her to marry her. Now, interestingly enough, there is a Ramban Nachmani on the Pasuk that says something very interesting. Why did Yaakov Avinu not do anything to get Shimon back? I mean, he's one of the Shevatim. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this Ramban. In Bereshit Mem Gimel Yud Daled, it says, "Ve'el Shaddai yitin lachem rachamim lifnei ha'ish, v'shilach lachem et achichem acher, ve'et Binyamin, v'ani kasher shachalti." Later on, when the grains start to run out from Yaakov Avinu's house, really they didn't run out, but the food that they brought from Mitzrayim ran out. Yaakov still had food, according to the Svarim. But he tells them at the end, if you have to go down, take Binyamin, and he mentions "V'shilach lachem et achichem acher." Tells them you should bring you back your other brother. Doesn't even mention Shimon here. Ve'et Binyamin, and also Binyamin. Look at this Ramban Nachmani. נראה לדרך הפשט כי לא היה שמעון רצוי אביו בעבור דבר שכם, וכך לא אמר את שמעון בני. Yaakov Avinu was mad at Shimon, and he didn't refer to him as Shimon beni. ואת בנימין כי לא יזכרנו בשמו, וכאשר עזבו במצרים ימים רבים, אילו היה בביתו לחם לא שלח עדיין את בנימין ויניחהו במצרים. He says that Ramban that if there was still food, Yaakov Avinu would not have sent Binyamin down to go get Shimon back. He would have been okay in the situation. Rashi katav, Ruach HaKodesh netzah bo lerabot et Yosef. And Rashi tells us that he got a little bit of Ruach HaKodesh back. At this moment, the Ruach HaKodesh started to return. Maybe not the full nevuah until he saw Yosef and was in total simcha, but he started to get a little bit back of that Ruach HaKodesh. And he mentions something, V'shilach lachem et achichem acher. He says, bring back the other brother. On the surface, on the pshat, it means Shimon, but he was saying in almost a Ruach HaKodesh, I want you to bring back Yosef this time. I want you to go back with Binyamin and bring me back Yosef. ובבראשית רבה גם כן אמרו, ושלח לכם את אחיכם, זה יוסף, אחר זה שמעון. So in the Bereshit Rabbah, it splits it up. It says, ושלח לכם את אחיכם, that's Yosef, אחר, שמעון. ונכון הוא כי נתן דעתו בעת התפילה להתפלל סתם, גם על האחר, אולי עודנו חי, ולשון האחר דרשו שם בראשית רבה, אמרו כי רבי יהושע בן לוי פתר קריה בגליות, ואל שדי ייתן לכם נחמים, לפני האיש, זה הקדוש ברוך הוא. And so the Mefarish Ramban tells us that when it says ואל שדי ייתן לכם נחמים לפני האיש, he was not referring לפני האיש, the man in Mitzrayim who gives you the food, but rather the ish is talking about God. Like it says, Hashem ish milchama, וכתיב ויתן אותם לרחמים ושלח לכם את אחיהם, אלו השבטים אחר. ואת בנימין זה יהודה, ובנימין ואני כאשר שחוטתי בחורבן ראשון, שחוטתי בחורבן שני. And I think that this is also one of the first sources in the Torah that refers to a lashon hara, in which we see the midah keneged midah of the punishments, because it is brought down that when a person speaks lashon hara, it hurts or even can kill both the speaker, the listener who believes it, as well as who they're talking about. So if you take a look at the whole situation here, you have the brothers talking lashon hara. You have Yaakov Avinu involved in listening, maybe not believing, but there's an involvement here. And then you have Yosef, and suddenly Yosef is away. He's in jail. He ends up going to Mitzrayim, ends up going through hardship. The brothers go through hardship. Yehuda goes through hardship. Then you have Yaakov Avinu going through hardship, and everybody got hurt from this situation. And this is, I think, one of the first sources that I've seen where the effect of lashon hara really hit home on all of them. And so this is an unbelievable hidush. How long he was there? 14 months, Shimon, and that Yaakov Avinu wasn't so happy about the situation. He was upset about how Shimon acted, and for that reason, he was not so quick to bring him back. He was a little bit hesitant. Chodesh Tov.